Deion Sanders speaks life into Dad, Deion, after losing first game of season. With the constant attention that the Sanders typically get, after a Colorado Buffaloes loss over the weekend, NFL quarterback and third son of head coach Deion Sanders, Sheduer, sent words of encouragement to his father and brother, Shilo, in a private text message. Not that the Sanders are mired in disappointment and shame, but the recent cutting of Shilo from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, combined with Sheduer being named the number 3 quarterback in a pool of 3, and the recent collegiate loss by the Buffaloes to the Gerogia Tech Blue Jackets football team by the score of 27-20, the Sanders collective may need a hug. However, instead of a hug, Sheduer, who is set to start his professional football career this upcoming weekend when the NFL begins the 2025-2026 season, left a message that may help the clan at this time. Deion's oldest son, his namesake, posted the private message from his media account, welloffforever, sent in the group chat for all the world to see. From the message, he is reminding his family about who they are. Why at Shedeur Sanders text this is the group chat after we lost yesterday. It's been a rough couple weeks for the Sanders. As Sanders men, we have to regroup, was the message sent by Sheduer. Sheduer also took to his social media account to assure fans that the team will bounce back because they have a great head coach. Losing the game and not having both his sons on the team is not the only barrier Deion is facing. Over the summer, the head coach announced to the world that he had been battling bladder cancer, which kept him sidelined for several months as he sought a treatment plan for the illness. He has assured the media that he is now cancer-free after recent treatment. Related content. Denzel Washington reminds us that he was from the streets during Q&A for Gladiator 2. The locker room was quieter than usual. The scent of sweat, liniment, and frustration hung thick in the air after the final whistle. A scoreboard somewhere beyond the walls still glowed in cruel digits, announcing what everyone already knew. The Colorado Buffaloes had dropped their first game of the season. For most teams, a single loss might be a bump in the road, just another chapter in a long season. But for Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, it was something heavier. His program had been scrutinized, his methods questioned, his bravado dissected with every syllable replayed on talk shows. A single loss, though inevitable in football, felt like an avalanche to a man who had carried himself and his team with an aura of invincibility. Deion sat at his desk after the game, hat tipped low, shades on even though there was no sunlight. His fingers were still clasped around his whistle like it was the only thing holding him in place. Silence swallowed him whole, and for a moment, the man who had always walked with the confidence of destiny looked mortal. That's when Deion Sanders, his son and quarterback, stepped into the room. The son sees the father. Sheduer wasn't just another player. He wasn't simply QB1 for the Buffaloes. He was Deion's son, the one who had grown up watching his father redefine what swagger in sports meant. He had seen his dad electrify football fields, preach faith with conviction, and rebuild entire cultures in locker rooms. But now, he saw something few others ever would, his father in a rare moment of vulnerability. "Pops," Sheduer said softly, setting down his pads on a nearby chair. "You good?" Deion didn't answer at first. He tilted his head back, breathing out a long sigh, as if the loss weighed more than the pads each player had just shed. "It ain't supposed to go like this," Deion muttered finally, voice gravelly. "We prepared. We worked. I told them to expect greatness. And he paused, words stuck like cleats in mud, we didn't deliver." Sheduer sat across from him, studying his father. The bravado was gone, but in its place was something more raw, fear. Fear of failure. Fear that critics who had been sharpening their knives would now have their moment. Fear that maybe, just maybe, the magic of Coach Prime was mortal after all. A son's sermon. Sheduer leaned forward, elbows on his knees, eyes locked on his father. He had heard enough of the doubters. He had carried his own weight on the field, leading drives, taking hits, keeping the team alive in the chaos. But now his mission was different. "Dad," Sheduer began, his voice steady, "you always tell us that pressure is a privilege. You always say losses are lessons. But you sitting here acting like this is the end of the world." Deion raised his head, shade slipping slightly to reveal tired eyes. "You told us," Sheduer continued, "that football is bigger than the scoreboard. That what matters is how we respond when things don't go our way. You drilled that into us every day. You said champions ain't made when they win, they're made when they get knocked down and stand back up." Shedeur's words weren't loud. They didn't need to be. He spoke with the calm certainty of someone who had lived under Deion's teaching all his life. "You gave me that mindset," Shedeur said, pointing to his chest. "Now it's my turn to give it back to you." A father's reflection. Deion sat up, the weight in his shoulders shifting. He had spent years speaking life into players who didn't believe in themselves, into teams that the world counted out, into a culture that needed more than just wins, it needed hope. Now, to hear his own son turn that mirror on him, that was different. "You sound like me," Deion said, almost chuckling, shaking his head. "That's because I've been listening," Shedeur replied with a grin. For a moment, silence returned, but it was lighter this time. The heaviness in the room cracked like a door opening to sunlight. Deion took off his shades, placing them on the desk. His eyes met his son's. "You're right, son. I know you're right. His voice caught for a second, something uncharacteristic of the man known for never backing down. "I just wanted to protect y'all from this feeling. I wanted you to only know the winning side." Shedeur shook his head. "Nah, Dad. We gotta feel this. We gotta hurt so we can grow. You always say faith ain't faith unless it's tested. Well, consider this the test. And we're gonna pass it, together. More than a game." Outside, reporters waited with cameras, ready to magnify Deion's reaction. Social media was already ablaze, critics tweeting gleefully, "Prime ain't ready for the big leagues," and "the fairy tale's over." But in that room, it wasn't about headlines or hot takes. It was about a father and son speaking truths into each other's lives. For Deion, the moment was humbling. For Shedeur, it was empowering. The roles had reversed, if only briefly. The coach needed coaching. The father needed fathering. And Shedeur delivered. "You've been carrying this whole thing on your back," Shedeur said. "The spotlight, the cameras, the haters, the expectations. But you don't gotta carry it alone. You got me. You got Shilo. You got this whole team. We'll carry it with you. You ain't gotta be Superman every single day." The words landed. Deion nodded slowly, a smile breaking through at last. "You know what? You're right. You just spoke life into your old man. And I needed that." The spark returns. By the time the press conference came, Deion had straightened his cap, put his shades back on, and found that spark in his voice again. He didn't deny the loss. He didn't sugarcoat the mistakes. But he also didn't let the critics win.